my name is Rachel and I love crafting. And today we are going to play with epoxy resin. Epoxy resin is the two-part resin that takes up to 24 hours to cure. So you can use it in much thicker layers and much thicker, bigger molds than you can practically with the UV resin. And I would have just uploaded my epoxy resin haul a few days ago, maybe a week ago. I'm not sure when all these videos will fall, but I'm filming them back to back. So you will have already seen all the stuff that I got, the extra stuff I got to play with the epoxy resin. And let's get ourselves turned around into CraftVision and get this started. I'm back. It's actually a few days later from when I recorded my intro to this video, but I finally have some time to play with the epoxy resin. We're going to try a couple of different projects here, and first I'm just going to go over everything I'm going to be using today with you, and then we'll get started. Of course, I have those new paint brushes that you would have seen in my supply haul video for this. I'm going to be using this coffin, and I did notice the two coffins are very different in their thickness. This is the other coffin mold that I had gotten, but I'm going to be using this thinner coffin mold that came with the 5 fancier lids. This one just came with a plain lid. We're going to be doing one of these trays and one of these cats. And my game plan is the tray I'm going to do in alcohol ink and blue glitter. And with the tray, the star here is actually raised, which means once you have the tray completed, it should be sunken in the bottom of the tray. And then, so with this one, I'm going to paint the star after it's been demolded. Then I'll actually use paint and paint the star with, I'm thinking silver probably. If all goes well, of course. Now, for the coffin molds, these designs are actually sunken in. So I'm actually going to be using different mica powders, and I'm going to paint in these. And then we'll pour the resin over top of the painted in designs. And I'm going to be trying, I do believe that these are mica powders. These came with that set that I had showed you. It came with 6 chunky glitters and then 6 of these, which I believe are mica powders. A couple of the jars, the lids were loose and the powder got everywhere and all over my hand, and it definitely looked like a mica powder. So I'm thinking that that's what those are. But I am using a few of the mica powders from that kit just so we can see how they are. I'm also going to be using one of the colorants from that kit just to see how that works. And then I, of course, will be using my regular mica powders, and these are for the cat. I'm going to put mica powder inside on the cat like I did when I did the cat with the UV resin. But I'm not going to put eyeballs in him this time. I'm just going to put a color on the little eye slots, and then depending how he comes out, I might glue some gems in there as his eyes later. And I also found, like I had said, I had tried resin once before, a very long time ago. I made like a couple of small things. One of the bottles spilt, made a huge mess. I cleaned it up, I threw everything away, and then I just forgot all about it. But I found the supplies that I had from that. And I have these cups with measurements on it, so I'm actually going to use these rather than one, like the directions are to use one of each of those measuring cups I got in the other kit and then pour them together in a third cup. But I'm like, why all that when I can just take this cup, do one of them up to the 2 tablespoons, and then do the second one up to the 4 tablespoons, and then hopefully that'll be enough resin to fill in these things. I have no idea how much resin these things are going to take, but if I need to make more, of course I can, and I do have a bunch more of these cups in a drawer so if I do need them. And oh yes, and then I have some wooden sticks. And I actually found one of the things that I made. And it's like super soft, so I'm thinking I maybe didn't even mix the resin right because it never like seemed to fully harden, or maybe the resin I got was just like not a hard resin, I don't know. Oh, and I also found this sample of, this is a automotive paint mix in it's supposed to be yellow, blue, purple, and green multi-chrome. So I thought I would add this into one of my mixes just to see if it adds any extra flair to it. So I think that oh, and you guys might remember my, I think it's called a Joe-like music player that I did a video on way back when. So I'll be using this for my stopwatch because you need to stir your resin for like 5 minutes. And this just happens to have a stopwatch feature, so that's convenient. So, okay, those are all the tools. I'll be back in a second. We'll get started on some resin. So I thought for this first project, I thought we would do this tray because I'm not doing any mica painting inside of this one first, so this one will just be mixing resin and pouring. So I'm going to use these small bottles that came with that one kit that I showed you in my supplies video. And I'm just gonna, like I said, just fill it up to there with one and then there with the second one. I guess we do A and then B. I almost forgot. I do have this painter's mask. And also, I think I already mentioned, but the cats are locked out of the room, so we don't have to worry about the cats. Also forgetting my gloves. Okay, so let's start with A. And apparently that is half of the bottle. And then just a couple of drops of, oops, I gotta shake it first. That was 6 drops, no idea if that'll be enough. And then some of this glitter. Did 2 of these little spoons of glitter. And then the next part is I have to stir this for 5 minutes. So I'm going to start stirring this and I will bring you guys back once I'm done. All right, so I have been stirring it for 5 minutes. I did actually end up adding 24 more drops of my alcohol ink. I had the right amount of glitter for what I wanted with the 2 scoops of glitter, but the resin wasn't quite dark enough for me. This is still a pretty, I think, sheer color, but I think it'll be pretty. I think that's a good darkness there. But just wanted to let you know, I did it 6 drops at a time. I would stop my timer, add 6 drops, start my timer, stir, and then stop it, add 6, you know, you get the idea. But I did it that way until I got what I think is a pretty color. So I guess our next step is just to pour this into the mold, and we might have to make a second batch because this mold is rather large, and I'm not sure that this is going to be enough. And also, it's been a never-ending battle to get the cat hair off the mold because these little silicone molds, everything likes to stick to them. And every time I think I got all the cat hair off, I find a new cat hair. And there's like an assortment of glitter just from it being near my little pack of glitter. So, but a little extra glitter never hurt anything. All right, so let's, I guess, start pouring. Like I said, I've never done a mold this big before. I have no idea how this is going to go. Oops, I just spilled some outside of the mold. Oh no. I mean, so far it looks really pretty, and this might have been a little bit too much, so that's a good thing. Let me see, maybe just a little more. Trying to be careful, I don't want to overfill it and have it spill out everywhere. I've already spilled a little bit right there. Another thing I didn't think about, I need to move this to a spot where it can cure. But first let me just go over it with a flame real quick just to see if there's any bubbles. I don't see any on the surface, but they could be there. I think there's more cat hair than bubbles. The story of my life. There's like a cat hair right here. It might just become part of it because I don't think I can get that off. I didn't think about how I was going to transport these to where they're going to sit and cure. So I'm going to go figure that out. I'll be back in a minute and we'll start on the next one. So I actually ended up just picking up this whole thing and moving it over to the table where I was going to sit them to cure. I do have a little bit of that blue left, so I thought I would just, I don't know if you guys remember these stickers that I received in, it was one of my BB craft videos, and I'm going to try something with this, so we'll see if this works. I'm really good at making messes, if you guys can tell. I get this stuff everywhere. I was going to put the sticker in here. I don't know if it'll get lost because of the blue on the blue. Maybe I should do one with more gold to it. This one has more gold. Let's try this one. Just gonna place that in here. And then put more of this on top. Again, I have no idea if this is gonna work, but you know I like to play and experiment. Now it's possible it would have made more sense to do a layer, let it cure, and then do a top layer over that, but I guess I'm just going all in. And again, just in case there's any bubbles, which I Again, I'm not seeing any bubbles, but you know, once they cure, I'll probably see 1,000 bubbles. Okay, I'm gonna go move this and we'll come back and start on another one. So I scraped out as much of that colored resin as I could and put what little was left over in this, and I'm just going to keep filling this up with whatever remnants I have left over and make who knows what that'll turn out to be. Possibly nothing. But that's what I'm going to try to do with the leftover resins here. So next I'm going to do this demon cat, and we're going to do him with these 3 colors and this blue here. So grab my paintbrush. And those are the colors. I'm gonna put it to the side for a minute so we can do the resin. And obviously I'm not going to need nearly as much resin this time. So this time I think I'll do the maybe 2 and 4. And we're going to be using the small bottles that came with that kit for this one. And then for the final project we'll use the larger bottles that I purchased separately. And for this one we're actually going to try that purple Resin Die that came with that one kit. And that's about 6 drops, so we'll start with 6 drops and add more as necessary. So I am going to once again stir this for 5 minutes and we'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I stirred this for a full 5 minutes. I did add 6 more drops of the colorant, and I do like that color. I think that's a pretty purple. And I just can't avoid the cat hair. Every time I look in here I'm like, oh look, there's another cat hair. But let's fill this mold and see if we have enough or too much again. Let's see. Alright, so we do have a bit left here, which we'll figure something out to do with in a minute. I feel like maybe just a touch. Okay, so let me transport this over. Oh, again, I don't really see a lot of bubbles, but something that I might see once it cures, and I'll be like, oh, look at all those bubbles. Okay, hopefully if there were any bubbles, that got them. Of course, if there's bubbles like down inside, I have no idea how you get those. But I'm gonna go transport this over to where I'm curing everything, and we'll be back for the final project. And here is going to be our final project. We're going to do this coffin. I'm going to start by painting the indents with this blue. This again is what I think is a mica powder that came from that kit. The battle against the cat hair is real, guys. And just like when I do my makeup, precision is not one of my strong suits. I imagine with practice I'll get better at this though. I say as I spill it all over the outside here. I'm actually going to use this makeup wipe to clean up around the edges of my cross. Maybe if I use a smaller brush. I definitely made a bit of a mess of that, but see if I can clean some of that up with that makeup wipe again. Not terrible, still a little messy, something that definitely is just going to take practice. We'll put this on the side and we'll start on the resin. And this time we're using the large bottles that I had purchased. And we're going to do the mostly full cup again, where we do 2 and then 4. And this one, this again is one of those what I think are mica powders that came from that one kit I bought. And this is we're going to put in the green. 3 spoons of this. And I don't know if this will actually do anything when mixed with the screen, but we're going to try some of this automotive paint additive that's supposed to be multi-chrome. We're going to do 3 of those. And I'm going to stir this for 5 minutes and then I'll be right back. So I've stirred this for 5 minutes and I do think this looks really pretty. It's maybe a little bit sheer still, but I think that's a good color. I I do see a lot more bubbles in this one. So I don't know how that'll play out. And I do not see any of the multi-chrome colors, but that's something that I probably won't see until it's cured. Maybe, hopefully. But if we don't, that's fine too. It did add a bit of a, I think, a metallic shine. All right, so let's get to pouring. I guess we'll start with the coffin itself. And we still have a decent amount left, so I think we might even be able to get the lid out of this. We'll see. Trade out for a new flame gun. Honestly, I don't know if all those dots I'm seeing in there, if they're bubbles or if they're chunks of like one of those powders I put in. But I guess we won't know until it cures. Pour the lid and hopefully we have enough. So I don't have quite enough to finish filling the lid mold, so I am going to have to go make a little bit more, but I'm going to do that off camera. But I'm going to say right off the bat that this resin does have a stronger odor than the small bottles that we used for the other items. So that's something to keep in mind, but I will be right back with hopefully some more similar colored resin. I'm back. I've mixed up some more resin. I mixed up a lot more resin than I had intended to. But once my first pour over poured, I had to make the second pour match to have equal parts. And my phone is so sparkly right now. There's just glitter and mica powder all over it. But that's neither here nor there. Let's finish this lid. And oh, something else interesting. I don't know if you can see. There's these little blue dots. I think the mica, some of it rises up in bubbles because those are bubbles that I popped. And they popped out blue, so I think some of the mica gets caught and rises up in a bubble, and then when you pop it, little dots. So I don't know how that's going to come out in the end. And my struggle against the cat hair has just been quite the battle. Oh my goodness. Every time I look down, there's a new cat hair. Oh, the cats may not be with us in person, but they're here in spirit. Okay, I think, and I'm actually glad I made more than I was planning to, because I actually used a good amount of that. And I think it's good now. I think I have it all the way up to the lip, but not overfilled. But of course, again, I won't know until it's cured. So I'm gonna go put these over with the rest. So I attempted to use up the rest of what I had. This one, you can't see it, but I did the sticker thing again with the 2 layers, and I don't know if that's going to cure clear enough for the sticker to show through. But, you know, it's an experiment. Like I said, I probably should do a layer, let it cure, and then put the sticker in and do a second layer so that the sticker stays closer to the top, because I think the sticker is just sinking down towards the bottom. But we'll see what happens once that cures. So tomorrow night we'll come back and we will demold everything. I do want to say getting into these spiders' legs was not easy, so I'm really not sure how that spider is going to come out. But yeah, so that's it for now. I'll see you guys in 24 hours. Well, for you, it'll be no time at all. But for me, it'll be 24 hours. I'm back. It's been probably about 22 hours. Everything does feel nice and dry, and I'm so excited to unmold these. We'll start first with some of these smaller ones, like this one, which I used the same resin we made up for this one, because it was some of the leftover resin. And this had a pearl alcohol ink and some blue glitter in it. And as I was watching my footage back, I imagine quite a few of you might have been screaming at the screen the same thing I was. You're doing it wrong. This is the back of the pendant. The sticker needs to face the other way. Oh my goodness. So anyway, I put the sticker in here backwards, and as you can see, you can barely see it from this side anyway. But let's unmold it. Oh, that unmolded beautifully. But you see, if I had put it in right, we would have actually been able to see the sticker. But because I, for whatever reason, decided this was going to be the front, even though it was the back, I completely messed that up. So, but anyway, the concept would have worked just fine if I had executed it properly. But this resin is really nice. There's absolutely no stickiness to it. It definitely feels like hard plastic. You can see the glitter in there, but I don't even see any bubbles. So I think that's pretty awesome. And everything except for the green was with the two-part resin from the jewelry making kit, so the smaller bottles. The green is the only one I did with the larger bottles, so we'll have to compare and see. But we're off to a good start, except for my poor sticker placement. And let's do a green one, which I did the same thing with. But this one doesn't have words, so it might still work even though I put the sticker in backwards. And it does work a little bit. You can't necessarily see that that sticker is a fish, but you can see the star and the seashell. So that's pretty cool. And there's a little piece, the light catches it, there's a little piece of unicorn skin right here at the bottom that had fallen into my green mix. So that's pretty cool too. And actually, I actually don't hate that one. And again, this is the other resin, and it feels nice and smooth and hard and not sticky at all. So both of the resins, at least for these small pieces, definitely worked great. Except for my poor sticker placement, of course. Okay, let's undo this bat. And this bat, I believe I just used some of this leftover resin with. But I did paint the mold. Ooh, and it came out perfectly. I painted the mold with, oh, it looks like I did go over a little bit. I'll have to clean up the edges. I overfilled the mold a little. But if you can see the coloring there, I used some of the mica powders to paint the mold before I put in the resin. And that came out pretty. So moving on, let's do these purple ones. And for these purple ones, I used this purple resin dye that came with that jewelry making kit. And then I did paint the inside of each of the molds with some mica powders, but I don't know how well those mica powders are going to show up with this dark purple resin. Ooh, actually, he came out really cool. As you can see, I didn't do a great job with the mica powders. I did get it around the edges quite a bit, but not all the way down to here, so it's not 100% consistent. But I kind of like the ombre look anyway. I think he came out really nice. And again, these all just feel nice and smooth and not sticky at all. And here is our second one. Same thing where I didn't do a great job of keeping the mica powder in just the pattern, so it's actually all over. But I don't think that's an issue. I think that actually looks really cool. So far I'm really enjoying this epoxy resin. It was a lot of work, you know, with 5 minutes stirring per thing, and you know, having to wait 24 hours, or not quite 24 hours, but so far so good. And same thing where, of course, I got the mica powders a little bit everywhere, but I don't think that's a problem. I think it still looks really awesome. So I'm really happy with the way those three came out. And let's unmold. Oh, let's unmold the spider. I'm not real sure how the spider is going to go. Getting the resin into those super tiny legs was difficult, and I know I had a lot of overfill, so there's going to be a lot I'm probably going to have to trim off if it actually worked at all. Okay, and that's what he looks like. I did put some mica powder in the body of him to give him a little bit of contrast with his legs. The legs, like I said, are super soft and would probably break off really easily. But if I could find a way to maybe glue this down onto a solid back, that would protect the legs, and I could probably still do something with him. But painting the molds with the mica powders does give it a pretty interesting effect. I do really enjoy that. Okay, so moving on to the cat. And again, I painted the mold with the mica powders, and then we used the purple dyed resin. Oh, wow. I feel like we lost the pink color, because see, look, I think we used like green on his ears, but pink down here. But I guess because of the purple resin behind it, the pink just turned into a silvery purple, because that's where the pink would have been. And then of course we did this purple there in the middle, and then this blue for his eyes. And look how awesome he came out. Oh, I'm in love with that. That makes me really happy. Now we're going to move on to the really big ones. So let's see. Let's start with the Coffin, and again, the green is the one, the resin was from that larger bottles kit, whereas the rest of them are from the smaller bottle jewelry making kit. But I mean, so far they seem to have worked the same. I don't really, like, even on the backs of these, I don't see any bubbles or anything, which I think is pretty amazing. And I'm not even seeing any cat hair, and you know I was fighting the cat hair. But let's start with the bottom. I am a little nervous about this because I feel like, I don't know if you can see, but it feels like it's expanded out here. Like it should be more straight. That might just be an issue with the mold. I don't know, but let's see if we can get the mold off of this one. Okay, well, it's demolded, but I will say he's really soft. So maybe it just needed more time to cure because it's so big. But I don't know if you can see how flexible that is. And I'm not sure that's a good thing. But maybe after a couple of days, it'll get harder. You can see I painted the cross in there, and I wasn't real neat about that. So there's a little bit of, you know, extra in there. But still, the overall appearance is really nice. The bottom, except for like right here in the center, the bottom is really shiny and smooth. I feel like this was some sort of separation of the powders, because this we dyed with the green mica powder and this automotive car paint that's supposed to have a multi-chrome effect. And I'm not really seeing any multi-chrome, so I'm not sure that that actually did anything other than give it that like sort of metallic-y shine. And this did do the same thing like at the bottom of here, where in the center it sort of collected a streak, probably of a separation of powders. And also because I did have to do a second batch for the lid, I did get what looks like a little bit of separation down here at the bottom. But you can see where I painted that. So that came out pretty decently. Again, I'm a little sloppy with my painting, so at the different angles you can see where the blue is all around in the places where it shouldn't necessarily be. But that's just something that I think I can improve with practice. But if you can see, this is very soft as well. And okay, so next we have this tray, and it looks like I did get a stray cat hair stuck right there. I don't know if you can see that there, but this also feels a little pliable, and this was but because this had from the other angle the raised pattern, it's now an indented pattern. So I'm actually going to paint that. Do that real quick. I'm going to see if this marker, paint marker, will work. That actually worked pretty decently, and once that dries, I'm either going to go in with some of this glitter or with this again. There's actually only one thing left, and I say this for last because I have no idea how I'm going to unmold this. I didn't think about this. Like, how does this even work? Like, because it's like, how do you, without breaking the mold, how do you even get that out of there? I don't understand the way these work at all. I mean, does this roll back maybe? But will it work without breaking the mold? I have no idea how to get this out of here. If I do figure it out, I'll insert a picture. If I figure it out without breaking, destroying this mold, I'll insert a picture of it with the mold. My playing with epoxy resin for the first time, I think as far as the way these things came out, it was rather successful, and I do absolutely love my little demon cat. Thank you guys so much for watching. As usual, if you enjoyed my video, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any comments or tips or advice for me, please tell me in the comments below. If you didn't enjoy the video for some reason, you're more than welcome to give me a thumbs down, but please leave me some constructive criticism in the comments below so I can improve. And please subscribe to the channel. And I hope everyone is just staying happy, healthy, and safe in this incredibly crazy world we are living in. And I will talk to you all soon. Bye-bye!